ambienti konusuna değinmesini istemiştim. Çünkü bu aslında bir resmin bütünü, biliyorsunuz. Her ne kadar review konusu özel bir konu olsa da, her ne kadar review management konusuna önem versek de içerideki müşterinin memnun olması gerekiyor. Operasyon takımının o kısmında elden bırakmaması gerekiyor. Şimdi ben Sascha'yı alkışlarınızla davet etmek istiyorum. Sascha hakkında da I'll just give a brief information about you.
Okay,
in
very
Turkish,
good. In Turkish?
in case.
Okay. Just don't lie.
Yeah, okay. Sascha uzun yıllardır online teknoloji konusunda ve bu teknolojilerin hayatımıza girdiği ilk günden beri bu işin içinde olan birisi. Ve hepimizin bugün bildiği birçok teknolojide yatırımcı olarak bulunmuş, bu teknolojileri iyi paralara satmış kişilerden bir tanesi. Özellikle burada olmasını istedim çünkü online dağıtım kanallarında ve teknolojilerinde birçok trende hakim, içinde bulunmuş, geliştirmiş kişilerden birisi. Ondan güzel şeyler dinleyeceğimizi düşünüyorum. Now stage is yours. Would you like to get this?
So I take the microphone. I hope you can hear me. Thank you very much. I hope you didn't lie too much. I have to tell you that this is the first time in 5 years that I'm wearing a suit, because what I usually do is I deal with startups. So I spend most of my time during the days investing into startup companies, interesting companies, both in the technology sector as well as other sectors. And when you go to their offices, you do not wear a suit. They just won't appreciate it. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take you through the latest trends of technology. But I'm going to take a slightly different route, because what you usually expect when you look at a topic like that is you expect to hear from Booking.com, right? Where's Booking.com, by the way? Can you raise your hand? Don't be shy. I won't beat you up. We won't be talking about Booking.com a lot today. We're going to be talking about other forms of online distribution, because for me it's a much wider topic than just talking about OTAs. Right? But before we do that, because I was asked to go a little bit into technology as well as this, I want to ask you a couple of questions. So who of you thinks that they're prepared for technology pit? That you're prepared for technology that you need today? Raise your hands. Don't be shy. Come on. One. You're a software provider, so I would hope that you are. So raise your hands. Who's ready? Okay, good. We'll test you out in a minute. Always helps not to raise your hands. So the thing is define your needs. That's the first thing that you need to do when you talk about technology. I have been in this technology business for about 17 years. I did a couple of technology gigs. Well dressed, for those of you that are old enough to remember. Here at Max Ray Tiger. And what we kept on telling hotels is before you buy something, just have a look what you really need. Right? And most hotels don't. The next thing is technology serves consumer innovation. Right? It's a big sentence, but what it basically means is don't buy something your consumers won't like. Because when you have guests coming to the hotel, guess what? It's not about whether you like the technology, it's about whether they like the technology, because they're going to be the ones using it. And if they don't like to use it, guess what? They won't book your hotel. Technology is subordinated, right? Because lots of people that I talk to get scared by technology. This is very complicated to use. Well, guess what? If it's complicated to use, it's not the right technology for you, right? Find that vendor that actually does what you need them to do, right? If you can handle complexity, I'm pretty sure you can, right? If you can handle complexity, then buy something that's complex and that gives you all the features that you need. If you don't be shy to tell the guy, hey, look, you're too complex for me. Show me something simple. And then, last but not least, right, before you start using 10, 15, 20 different technologies, right, try to find the guy that gives you one, right? Because you have a PMS and a CRS, and then you have to serve the GDSs and the OTAs. And if you give me lots of beers, I can probably remember 150 other acronyms that you should really know these days, right? But guess what? You don't want to be bothered with those every day. What you want to do is you want to sell your rooms, right? You don't want to spend an hour or 2 or 3 just trying to remember what it is that you should be remembering. So, when we look at that today, why is it important that you find the right technology for yourself in order to make sure everything becomes easy for you? Because it's not about you in the end, right? You think that technology is about you, but it's not. You have to get used to the fact that today, it's all about the consumer. And that changed for those of you in the room that have done online distribution before 2003. We used to call it Hotel 1.0, right? It was very sophisticated. We told the consumer what he needs to buy. And then a very clever guy defined the term Travel 2.0 or Hotel 2.0, and he said, well, look, dudes, you're all wrong, right? It's not about you, it's about the consumer. It's about what the guy that actually stays in your hotel wants to do. And it truly is. When you look at it, There's a study from Kempinski, and they looked at the rationales on why consumers travel. Well, the number one reason why consumers, when consumers travel, what they're trying to look and find is a financial benefit. They want to save money, right? But be aware, it's not about just saving money. They have a couple of other things that are important to them, and we always believe that discount is the best thing to do, and it's not always. Right? Environmentally is a number 2 priority. People these days, believe it or not, are environmentally aware. They don't want to waste paper anymore. They don't want to waste towels. They don't want to waste X, Y, and Z. Just the corporate business travelers that do. People like me, right? I prefer a new towel every morning, I have to admit. Right? But other people, especially consumers that do leisure travel, they don't necessarily. Lifestyle. That's the number one thing. In the last 5 years, it's changed a lot. When you used to look at the old corporate business traveler, he used to come to your hotel, he used to go to the hotel bar, he used to eat a little bit, and then he used to watch TV and go to bed. Nowadays, you find corporate travelers book theater tickets. They go to the museum, they go to the movies, they meet with friends, they have dinner outside, unfortunately, right? And they do many, many other things. They need facilities like the spa. There were times when I traveled in 1999, no guy would ever go to the spa. Come on, that's a chick's play, right? So, we were guys, we would sit at the bar. But nowadays, when you go to a spa, and I have to admit I do as well, right, you meet mainly guys. Right? So it's completely changed. So the consumer is actually changing his behavior, and that's important to notice. And then the last one is trial. Consumers like to test new things nowadays, right? We're not into the business of, I like to do what I did before because I know it best. We're not into that mood anymore. We as consumers like to explore. And you know why? There's a word that's changed this word, and I know most of you don't like it, and I don't like it very much, but it's called Google. Right? And Google just as an acronym for everybody that gives consumers the ability to find what they want. Right? How annoying. Right? So they shouldn't really find what they want. They should really book what we want them to book. But they now have the freedom, and they use that freedom. So keep in mind when you buy your technology that you find something that helps you to achieve those goals. But it's not just about product and price and and ability. It's also about emotional benefits. Right? Consumers nowadays are driven by lifestyle, by generosity, by cultural effects. Right? So consumers are much more complex than they used to be. They're not into this game anymore just to book a hotel room. They associate a lifestyle with their stay in your hotel. And you have to remember that when you compose your product and when you serve your products. Well, let's find out. Know this guy. Well, we had this topic earlier, so sorry I have to say this now, right? But he showed us a Ferrari, and then he wants to be taught by Lewis Hamilton. Right? I'm pretty sure Lewis Hamilton's going to kick him out. But when we look at today's environment, it's like an autobahn. Right? I'm German, by the way. That's why I like the autobahn. It's an autobahn. We have apartments, hotels, B&Bs, and then we have lots of people that are trying to find their way into those properties. And they come via many methods, right? So they get irritated by signs that are along the way: the GDS, wholesale, social media, website, meter search, and OTAs. And guess who gets left out? Right? It's you guys, right? Because this, who knows this guy? Right? Who sat in front of the computer in the morning and said, "Mamma mia, this has become very complicated." Right? I certainly have, and I deal with it every day. So there's a lot to deal with on a daily basis that you have to make sure that you keep in mind. So the consumer needs to be served, so you need to make sure you take care of him. But then also you have to take care of yourself, because you have to make sure that you can deal with all of those different platforms as they're named there. And then on the left lane, right, for those of you that don't drive the Autobahn, it's the lane where the fast cars are supposed to be. Right? You have the peer-to-peer motions, right? It's the Airbnbs and those that allow consumers to actually stay in non-hotel product. Right? Those you have to keep in mind as well. You have to make sure that you watch out for them. I don't know who of you have read the press. There's actually movements with hotels now that are trying to get into that space. Accor Hotels, right, probably known to everybody in the room, just bought themselves into apartments business. Right? So here's a hotel group that's actually making an acquisition, or a partial acquisition, into a space that we as hoteliers should really hate. Right? So it's a trend you have to watch out for. But when I come back in 2, 3, 4 years' time, I will have probably lots of logos, from that side of the section as well. Raging against the machines, right? And while you think, oh, this is enough, you also have the really bad boys, right? Google, Bing, Skyscanner, Kayak, Trivago, one of my old investments. And what they're trying to do is They're not trying to just help you, because they're also trying to take business away from you. So, when you look at it, you have to make sure that you're raging against the machines, that you're making sure that that consumer can actually walk through your brand doors. So again, another area that you have to take care of. So what's there to do? A lot, unfortunately. When you look at it, and that's, I hope it turns out because it's in the presentation, the most important one is the one that will be right in the end, right? But let's go through a list of things. You have to improve your websites. A lot of you, and we've heard lots about it today already, your website needs to be a sexy website. And sexy means it needs to appeal to the consumer. It doesn't need to be the flashiest technology. It needs to be easy to use. It needs to convey a message. And the message is, I'm a really good product to stay in, and I really want you to come because I have a lot to offer for you. Improve the customer experience and journey. Right? I'm one of those guys that was in this industry when we still had My Fidelio and Micros version 6. Right? Version 6 was a DOS, an MS-DOS version. So I would actually go to reception, and the receptionist would look at me. You know why? Because they had a keyboard, and it was all shortcuts. So they knew it by heart. They went click, 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 and they looked at me, and they communicated with me, and they smiled at me when I was checking in. I thought it was a really good experience. Then came the Windows version, and all of a sudden it was looking into the screen. Click, 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 click. What do you want to have? Or you want an upgrade for a room? How much are you willing to pay for it? So we have to go back to providing a consumer experience, because guess what? It's not just about the room, it's about the in-house experience. Because as we said, consumers are nowadays, they're picky. They want to have a spa, they want to, be treated nicely. The best thing is, I come to the hotel here. Congratulations, by the way, for the service. I come to the hotel here. The first thing they do is they name me by name. It makes me feel good. Makes me feel home. And that's what the peer-to-peer environment is teaching us, right? We have to get back to that consumer. We have to give them a feeling of being at home, having arrived. Product. Right? You have to spend time on your product, and not necessarily on more. Right? In my former life, and I'm not going to tell the company name, but I do own a hotel software company as well. And we have hotels that come to us and say, well, I really need you to list all my rooms. So how many rooms do you have? Well, I have 25 rooms. Yeah, that's no problem. You just say a number of rooms, 25. No, 25 different rooms. Okay. What type of rooms? Well, it's the ocean view left-hand side, the ocean view middle section, the ocean view right-hand side, the partial ocean view left-hand side, the partial ocean view right-hand side. And you think I'm joking? I can give you a couple of examples, but I won't do that in public because they're going to beat me up. Right? So it's about simplicity. Product doesn't mean more product, it means product consumers understand. It's a room type they understand, it's a package they understand, it's language they understand, the pictures they understand. And it's not what we think needs to be there, it needs to be simple. Right? Those of you that know the band Kiss, right? They were in the 70s and 80s, and they used a term that we're actually still using today. Kiss means keep it simple, stupid. Right? Keep it as stupid that your 6-year-old son or daughter understand what you're actually trying to sell to them, because consumers will appreciate it. Work with third-party distributors smartly. I'm not one of those guys that beats up on the OTAs, because first of all, I invest into them, so it would be kind of stupid for me to do that. But secondly, it's because I think they need to be in your distribution mix. I don't like those consultants that tell you it's all about your website. It's not. It's about the right mix of product. You have hotels and locations where their own website will not make a difference whatsoever. Right? And we have to recognize ourselves, and we have to go to our, we have to go deeply inside ourselves and decide, where our consumers are coming from. Segmentation, we heard earlier, right? And I can only support that. It's important to get that right. Fix mobile. Who of you have a mobile website? That's a handful. Right? Should be a more handful. Should be a full handful. Right? Mobile is the #1 driver in the next 10 years. You have no idea how many consumers are coming from mobile. And if you think, in Europe it's not a trend yet, it's true, it's getting there. But everybody that's in Asia, over 50% of Asian bookings are out via mobile. And you know why? Because often they don't have anything else in terms of internet in their mobile phone. So it becomes more and more important. It's a trend you should really watch. Deal with the GDS, and I had a feeling this was going to happen. It's supposed to be one down, so it's not supposed to be a GDS that you have to really pay attention to. The GDSs are not dead yet. There are still locations where there is a lot of GDS business, right? The big boys, as they used to be called, they aren't dead yet, so you still have to pay attention to them, unfortunately, although they're clunky at times. And then that's the one you need to pay attention to. It's listen and learn, right? the best thing for hotel directors to do is to stay at reception occasionally, and I like those that stay at reception. You know, they greet certain customers, and especially the angry ones, just to find out what went wrong during the stay. Right? It's the consumer journey. Remember, consumers want to be taken care of. So listen and learn doesn't just count for your hotel. It's also listen and learn to technology. Right? Find out what they really like about the website and what they don't. Find out what they liked about your product and what they didn't like about your product. Find out why they booked you over a competitor. You know, it's a fair question to ask. And I think as an industry, we're not spending enough time on those that are actually providing us the revenue. Right? I learned in business school, long time ago, it's all about those guys that produce revenue. Right? For us, it's the consumer. So we need to listen to that consumer and make sure that he feels at home. Cover the stuff a lot again. Right? So you need to look at, when you look at technology, you need to look at backend, the hotel website, and third parties. And if you think that's an easy task, just look at how much you actually have to cover on a daily basis in order to be properly set up and manage what you should be managing on a daily basis. It's a lot. I'm not trying to go through those. I'm just trying to give you a reminder that homework needs to be done properly because there's a lot of homework to be done. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to take a step back. Because I think we now looked enough at the bad things that you need to focus on a daily basis. We're going to focus on a few newcomers and a few trends in this industry. I brought a few examples of what you should really be focusing on, and we're going to go through a bunch of website-related things, but also going to look at newcoming OTAs, different types of OTAs, right? Just recently in the press, and it's just a selection of things that I thought you may enjoy. Show me you're good. Show me they're bad. So if you really want to make a difference on your website, there's a few things you should consider. Right? I'm here. Don't make me leave. So give consumers whatever they want on your website in order to make them not leave. And that's usually a good experience, an easy booking process, an easy to understand product, an easy to understand rate. No surprises when I come to the checkout page. That's the page where I add up everything, right, and I see the total bill price. Don't make it a surprise for them, because a surprise will make them leave. Price parity, a must for the website, right? You shouldn't have, if you can, because there are certain contractual relationships in this industry that will not allow you to always keep your price consistent, right? But price parity, to the degree that you can, keep your website at parity, right? And it doesn't mean make it cheaper. It means at least make sure it's the same price. And if it is the same price, add a perk, add something in there that the OTAs won't get from you. You're leaving. Why? Right? Choose product that allows you to interact with the customer when they leave the website. And nowadays we have technology when you click the button and you want to close the tab in the browser, there's a pop-up and say, what did we do wrong? What do we have to do in order to convince you to be a customer? Right? Use technology that enables you to communicate. Don't use technology that provides just service. Are you mobile for me? Right? Think about your mobile strategy. Look at your customers. Segmentation again. I think mobile should be a segmentation going forward, right? Because we have lots of customers that go mobile. And why is that important? Because mobile websites have to follow different standards. A lot of hotels that I talk to say, yeah, my provider makes my mobile website, and it's easy. I can just go on the website and it will show it to me. And it's a very small website because it's not really designed for mobile. Mobile websites need to be different, and you need to make sure that when you provide a mobile website that it's right. Because it's better not to have one than to have the wrong one. And I brought you a few examples of trends that you will be seeing on your website. So one trend that we've seen in the last couple of months, and it was hyped because, I'm sorry for the player in the room again, Booking.com, had a little legal mingle with Striptease. Right? And there was about price comparison and what have you. And Striptease and a competitor in Germany called LiveRate are solutions that allow you to compare your prices on your website against your competitors' pricing on your own website. So what consumers see is they actually see that they should stay on your website because it doesn't matter. You have a good price for them as well. They won't find a better deal on the OTAs for your particular hotel. Right? I've had lots of discussions with hotels over the years on whether that would make sense as a solution or not. Everybody was scared that would just drive them to websites. But think about it. Right? What do you want to do when you go to eBay? What do you want to do when you go to Amazon? You want to make sure that you see that you have the best price. Right? The best price for that product. And if I show you right away on my own website that you have the best price, why would I want to go elsewhere? Right? And there's different ways of doing that and different ways of displaying it. But in the end, the message is the same. The message is I'm very open and transparent about my pricing. And guess what? A lot of times that we checked, because we browsed around a bit and checked and looked, we found that on hotel websites the prices are higher, right? And you know, it happens. But at least you're being transparent to your consumer. Examples of the product, trip, tease, life rate, I just named a few, right? But there's more. Customer journeys, the direct, indirects. Recommendations from a friend or a peer. So now we go into what else generates bookings into my hotels. And bookings into my hotels, we heard earlier, social media, right? You build a login from Facebook, right? It's also the entire trend of recommendations. We live in an industry where consumers share information. They say, oh, look where I was today on Facebook, and everybody comments on whether they like it or not. So recommendations from peers are strong. Although social media doesn't generate bookings as a channel, they generate recommendations, and recommendations in the end turn into bookings. Fun to be engaged, right? Make sure that whatever they do on your site is fun. You know, sometimes having comics on the site is fun. Sometimes, you know, sometimes having a game on the site is fun. No matter what it is, you know, try to find out what your consumers really like in order to engage them. Rewards and benefits. And, we've kind of forgotten how to give rewards and benefits in this industry. We used to have loyalty programs, and then we took loyalty programs to the extreme. I remember, you know, I used to travel internationally between San Francisco and Singapore, and when I opened my wallet, I had this long wallet, you know, and it's like 50 cards in it. Loyalty cards from every major hotel brand, loyalty cards from the airlines, because I was using different product every single time that I traveled. And then I got kind of tired of it, so I didn't do any of it. And nowadays I go back into, you know, seeing benefits and rewards and benefits, but they have to be meaningful to me. They have to make sense to me. So when you look at it, what we have here is this. We have a tool that allows you to basically recommend to a friend. Plan my upcoming trip to Shawnee on Delaware, staying at the Shawnee Inn. Get a room discount on me. So you recommend to your friend a property that you're staying at, and if that friend uses it, they're actually going to get a discount from the hotel provider. So what the hotel does is they actually go in and say, okay, good, if you lure a customer, bring me another customer, I'm going to reward your friend. I'm going to give him a discount. Right? Why does that make sense for me as the person recommending it? Well, it makes me feel good, right? I get a good status amongst my friends as one of those that actually helps me, that actually helps them to save money. You can use, you know, rewards of best of summer, right? So 28 places, 73 points. So this is a provider that allows you to post packages, right? So they play a game and a quiz. They allow their consumers to recommend it to friends. The more friends actually click on it, and the more friends use the bonus, the more points the person is going to get, the more rewards they're going to get themselves. So you make social media a play field for you to actually entice consumers to recommend, right? By giving rewards meaningfully. Because in this case, it makes sense for you to do that, because they're almost like a group, right? You end up having 5 of those guys in your hotel. You know, it's cheap marketing. Your vote has been counted, right? And you unlocked a bonus. Right? So when you have enough votes and enough bonuses, you know, reward them even further. You know, it's 10% on the first 5. On the first 5 likes or books, it's, you know, 15% when you go beyond that. It's, you know, it's engaging consumers to actually provide you with additional business. And then, hi Maria, join us for a fun back. Right? So once that consumer has stayed at your hotel, and that's where a lot of hoteliers don't think about today, is engage, keep on engaging. Because guess what? When that guy says on a social media campaign, I really like that hotel. If you go to Istanbul, you should really stay there because I had a really great time. It's a good thing to do, but if you don't remind consumers, they get bombarded with emails on a daily basis. So you have to engage with them. You have to make it an experience for them to come back, and it has to be easy. If they have to spend an hour trying to give you feedback, they won't. It has to be a few clicks, it has to be easy, and it has to be fun. The example that I showed you here is one out of many, but it's a company called Flip2. And the reason why I like to recommend them is one of the founders and shareholders of Flip2 used to be the founder and CEO of EasyYield, one of the larger channel managers in the world. Direct build brand, but costs money. So when you look at your business, there are direct businesses that you can get to your website. So you know, it's you know, everybody has had agencies in their hotels saying, hey, look, you know, you really need to work on your website, and you know, your website is important, and your website is really cheap, and that's the cheapest way of getting consumers. I don't like those guys because it's a complete lie. If you go and do your website properly, it'll cost you money. And we've done calculations when I was the CEO of Raytiger to just find out how much that is. And we did that with the University of Breda. And we found out that if you really allocate all costs that should go to the website, you end up paying between 10 to 15% commission as well. And that is because you're going to build the website, which is cost. You're going to advertise it over 3 years. You're going to go in and employ a social media company that will help you to generate, social media profiles. You're going to go in and update content on a daily basis. And guess what? The receptionist that may do that for you because you consider it to be the cheapest resource to do it still costs money. So you have to add that all in, and because her time won't be spent on checking in guests or checking out guests. So it's a cost that you need to allocate. If you do it properly, it'll cost you money. Once you've done that, there's the external marketing cost on top of it, and that's search engine optimization, Google and Co., various integration points into the search engines, the normal search engines, the meta search engines that you need to spend money on. And potential, and then the question remains, if you've done all that, what is it really? Are there potentials or money suckers? Well, in the end, whether it's a potential or money sucker really depends on your segment and your segment analysis. Right? Does it make sense for you to get bookings through your own website? Is it profitable for you? Yes or no? These are considerations that you have to do. But I think it would be foolish to believe that a hotel's own website isn't expensive. It's a channel. It's part of a channel mix, and you have to make sure that that channel mix is right by analyzing your cost. Make Me Safe, a new OTA. Now I'm going to bring you a few more concepts that I came across as an investor over the last couple of weeks. One was that really excited me, it was consumer protection. Right? We used to remember, I don't know, those of you that used to sell tour operator packages, they used to come with insurance coverage. Right? And nowadays you see insurances on OTAs and quite a lot of it. But they all have one thing in common, and that's they're fully flawed. Because a consumer books an insurance, but if he really doesn't want to come or he has a problem, he can't use the insurance because it's tied to very specific events. So my mom needs to die, my dad needs to be in hospital, my son needs to have fallen off the cliff. Right? So very substantial moments of my life where I really can't travel, those insurances will cover me. But consumer protection should really be something different, and that's what we're looking at here. The product that I looked at I found two in total, serves as a revenue source. Right? So it's not just you providing consumer protection, but they also let you participate in the upside of that consumer protection. Have a guest and cash, and that's how it works. A consumer, it's a product called Life Happens, a consumer books a room and books insurance protection. He can cancel at any given point in time. What it really is a cancellation protection, it's a cancellation insurance. And you get, they will really receive 80% of their transaction value back. So it doesn't matter when they cancel. They can cancel, up until 24 hours prior to the departure. What Life Happens does then is they are an OTA. They resell those rooms for you. Right? So you actually have a guest staying in your room, and that guest will just have a different name. But in order to make it worth your while, they'll let you participate on two revenue streams. One is on the fee that they charge the consumer for for booking the insurance, and secondly, they give you a kickback commission on the price that they actually sell the room at. So in the end, you get a little bit more than the actual room price. So it makes sense for the hotels, it makes sense for the consumer, and therefore it makes sense as a business proposal for the hotel. It's a concept. It seems rather complex, but it's quite simple. It's a concept where you turn a product into a convenience product for a consumer, because now he has the ability to cancel, but not dependent on a life-changing situation in his daily activities. It's because, for example, like me on a business trip, I just canceled my business trip. The way that it works is very easy integration in the shopping process. Any booking engine can integrate it. You guys should have a look at it. It's a feed-in. They tell you how much they need to charge the consumer. It's based on the actual hotel price, is 6%. They collect the information, and then they basically go and just let you handle all the processes. So you charge your consumer, you do everything that you normally do, you just provide them with protection, and if they cancel, you actually have upside. So I would be mean enough to say you actually now want all your customers to cancel, because you have between 5 to 6% more revenue on that canceling customers. I think that's a really nice idea, and they do produce quite well. Additional business. You're 100% occupied. Who of you is 100% occupied throughout the year? None? None? Let me ask you a different question. You think loyalty is out? Do you think that customers don't prefer loyalty anymore? No? Nobody? Well, we look at a couple of things now, a couple of different products now. Any of you heard of day use? Yeah? Day use is basically a platform that allows you to utilize your asset twice during the day. Utilizing asset means you're actually going to have that room occupied twice a day rather than having occupied once. And what they do is they basically say, well, during the day, between usually 8 a.m. and 6 p.m., the room's empty. Right? There's nobody in there. The cleaner has gone through it, just cleaned it up, but then there's nobody in there. Why not resell that room? And we've all done it, right? It's not a new concept. I mean, I joined the industry in 1999. Day use was somewhat there, and when you look at hotels' P&Ls, there's a line that says day use, but usually there isn't a lot of revenue in there, right? Because nobody's actively using it. But nowadays, in the last 12 months, there's been a trend again for consumers to actually use it. Right? On business trips during the day, I want to refresh, I need to have a conference call, I want to do that in a quiet environment. So there are websites now that help you to actually utilize your asset during the day. I have to name this one here because I just invested into it. Right? It's the same one. They basically do the same thing. So there are different providers now that actually utilize it. So it's not just one company that had a crazy idea. It's actually a trend in the industry that we're seeing that's just upcoming. Utilize your assets during the day. And then the last one that I came across was quite funny as well. And what they do is they provide consumers with a reward and loyalty. Right? So they allow consumers to book hotel rooms associated with earning airline miles. So here as a hotelier, you have the ability to pay for marketing by giving consumers an extra perk. So while they book your hotel room and they pay you for your hotel room, they get reward programs in return. And it's something that is good for the hotel because you get additional perks that you can give to the consumer. It's also good for those that actually receive those consumers. So in this example, it's Air Berlin, a German airline, right? Because the German airline now has a customer that has miles, and they will use those miles, those customers, to book something on Air Berlin. So it's a dual marketing effect, right? Both sides gain something from it. There are airlines that have an interest in being associated with hotels because they know that anybody that books a hotel probably also needs an airline. Right? There's a good number of hotel bookings on a daily basis. I think there was something over 70% that also require an airline ticket. So this company here actually allows you to make usage of that, to combine yourself with other travel product in the industry, travel product that consumers want to use. Additional business. Meetings not interesting? Who of you do active meeting space and rent out meeting space and do conferences? Raise your hands, raise your hands. Okay, you do a lot these days, huh? Yeah, good. So meetings, have become, some hotels still have meeting space, and it's an active source of revenue for them, but the majority of smaller hotels don't actually do much with meetings anymore. But let me tell you, be aware, there is a player now called Airbnb, right, that's getting into the meeting space, right? So you should reconsider whether that is an entry for you to actually be on Airbnb, right? If you don't provide hotel rooms to Airbnb yet, or if you don't provide apartment experience to Airbnb yet, right, maybe you want to start thinking about the meetings business again. Not something for everybody, but just as a reminder, this industry is turning, right? So who would have thought that an apartment website actually starts getting into our core space, the meeting space? But they are, so be aware of it. Be aware, the bad boys, there's also something that you have to keep in mind, and that is when you play with your cancellation policies, be careful on who you're dealing with, because there are some companies in this industry that never learn that the industry strikes back eventually, and they allow consumers to actually book a room, and then they will cancel it on you if you have a better rate, right? So when you play with your cancellation policies, I would much argue that you could better give them a consumer protection for cancellation and give them 80% back than allow this one here, right? So this is a company that just came up in Germany. And they actually think that they're very, very clever. They just allow consumers to use cancellation policies. But they monitor it for them, right? So when the consumers book through them, they actually go and make sure that consumer is always the best price, right? Which I think is a foul play in a rather dangerous game. And that's why you have to pay attention to it. The reason why I can hate it, but it makes no difference whether I hate it or not, is consumers love it. They just raised 1 million euros via a crowdfunding platform. That's a platform where consumers can also invest into businesses. 1 million via a crowdfunding platform from 1,000 consumers. very savvy travel consumers that actually said, you know what, I really like this service because I really think I'm overpaying for my hotel rooms, and I really think those revenue managers are doing a damn good job in making sure, you know, it's there's different pricing every day. So, you know, be aware of those guys, and be aware that when you compose your product, that you actually consider you know, those as well. Crazy is still in. Right? There's also still crazy product. I saw earlier name your own Priceline. Who mentioned Priceline in the speech? Yeah? And that is coming back now, right? Because Priceline you know, wasn't doing so well with that product. There's a new website that I came across in France. Consumers love it. Share, explore, and be inspired. You basically go to Spanish. You basically go to their website and say, "Hey, look, tell me how much you want to spend, and then I'll tell you which product I can give you for it." Right? So it's back to the name your own price relation, but you know, this one here is about experiences. It's not just hotel product. It's about, you know, it's about tours, excursions, and operations. So be aware of it. Consumers do still like to be inspired, and they do still like to be you know, in a situation where they get, you know, where they get surprised with what they're going to get in the end. Thank you very much. I hope I gave you a few ideas of, you know, where the market is moving. It's not just about OTAs anymore and your own website. You need to stay on top of it. You need to make sure that you plan properly and that you source the market. And if you don't do that yourself, make sure you get professional help that actually helps you to keep an eye on all those guys that are just coming up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sascha.